it's Zach Bingham from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville Baptist Collegiate Ministry. And in this video, we're going to be talking about how to apply all the things we just talked about in scripture memorization. How do we continually set truth in front of us? How do we continue to have these verses show up in our hearts and show up in our lives that we can then apply them in the world around us? So what my wife and I talk about doing is, I have to be completely candid with you. We are not always the best at scripture memorization. This is actually a topic that's very challenging for me, as I'm sure it is for you too. And that's okay, because we are not all going to be perfect at things when we first try them, but we have to continue to strive to be better at them, right? And so that's kind of what we're doing here. So one of the things my wife likes to do is that she likes to take note cards, and she likes to have them almost like flashcards, and she'll write them on there, and she'll have a stack, and as soon as she's got one down, she'll put it to the back. And so that when she's done with that stack, she'll take like 30 cards or something like that. When she's done with that one, she'll put it at the back, start memorizing that one. So when it's time for that to roll back around, she has to remember that one too, that first one. And so that's particularly difficult. And I respect her a lot for it, because that's something that's very hard for me. I'm particularly the kind of person that likes a passage of scripture, and I will just read it day in and day out, over and over and over and over and over again until I can recite it. And that's kind of where I land on it, is that scripture memorization for me, I know for a lot of people, is in the form of like sticky notes and different in interesting places, like on a mirror or in their car over the clock, or on the door frame as they walk out the door, or in their closet. There's we talk about prayer closets sometimes as believers. It's basically just a space that they can kind of get away from the world, sometimes in their own house or in their apartment, where they put up post-it notes or a pad of paper that talks about prayer lists and things like that. And it has different scripture that's taped to the walls and things like that. So that's super important in terms of applying it to be able to find what works best for you. So like I said already, people use post-it notes to stick them up everywhere. People use signs to hang around their house. My wife uses flashcards, and I like to just read the same passage over and 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 over again until I have it down pat. And so yeah, that's kind of how we do it. And I hope this is encouraging to you to kind of say, practically, how do we walk this out and how do we do this? And I would encourage you to find a passage and start with it that is interesting to you and that it is significant on your heart, because it'll make it easier to memorize it if it's significant to you. And I don't want you to say like, oh man, I got to memorize 5 verses. I got to memorize a whole chapter at once, because starting off, you're not going to be up to that. That's like saying I'm going to start off praying for 4 hours straight. I get distracted in 30 seconds sometimes. That's not necessarily achievable. So instead of starting at 4 hours of prayer, we start at 5 minutes and then we build our way up. So equally as important in scripture memorization. Start with 1 or 2 verses that you really love, that really are significant to you. Post them up somewhere. Write them on a postcard. Write them in a notebook so that every time you open your notebook for class, they're written right there at the top and you can't avoid them. That way, you can continually put it before you, like we've been saying. Continually put scripture before you so that you can then apply it to the world around you, and that this truth can go into everything that you do. And so I hope you're encouraged by that. I would, like I said, 1 to 2 verses. Please don't take me as naive. I know I'm 25. I know I'm young, but please, seriously, you do not just want to jump in head first into this. It is not an easy thing to do. From personal experience, I know it's not an easy thing to do. So 1 to 2 verses that you really love, do that for a week. At the end of the week, test yourself, and then get 2 more if you've got it down. And now you've got 4. Now you got 4 hanging up around your house, and you're working on that, or you're on note cards, or it's just something that you read. So